Happy New Year, everyone. That's so exciting. Happy New Year. I hope your New Year was safe and festive and memorable, and you were able to spend it with people you like. And for some of you, maybe people you love. Thank you so much for joining me. I look so forward to what we're going to be able to do this year. I look forward to continuing to hear your journeys and your stories. As you can tell by the title of this video, some of those stories will be about wanting to start your own business, particularly as a nurse practitioner. And so I'm here to share what I've learned, to give you some tips and guidance to help you expedite and execute with more precision than I've been able to do. But also, I've had quite a bit of success. And if I can lend that to you and give you some hope and inspiration, then I am more than happy to do that. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, Doctor Prepared Nurse Practitioner, and I welcome you to my channel. I've been coming here live for over a year every week. Right now we come live Sundays. I am now releasing the video at 12:15 midnight on every Sunday. I release free articles on the Ohio Dermatology blog every week for the last 2 years, and I've created community for you through the DMP Dermatology and PPA group, which is a networking group for NPs and PAs who practice or aspire to practice in medical, surgical, or cosmetic dermatology, who live or practice in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And we just started our first sister group, Derm NPs and PAs of Atlanta, with our advisor down there, Allie. She's a nursing student at Emory. And we have an advisor in Richmond, Virginia, Derek, he's a PA, and Caleb is out there in Blacksburg, Virginia. He's a new Derm NP who just graduated last year and already got his first job in dermatology. Some of our members come in with derm experience. Some are gaining that after they've joined, either directly through employment or through shadowing opportunities. And we create community for you. We have in-person meetings. We're looking forward to our first mixer of the year. Have more details for you soon with the actual date. And we'll be starting our monthly virtual grand rounds. My whole goal with that is Caleb's idea. He wants to really go through case studies, and I support that idea. My contributions will really be helping to strengthen your skills and your management as a provider, with emphasis on keeping you abreast of what's going on in research, social media trends, giving you the language to respond to your patients, and just helping you to develop what I call provider-centered care, which I talk about on the blog, the Ohio Dermatology blog, my baby. Since at the time of this recording, I just talked to you all on the blog about the Skin of Color training in the UK. They have their conference coming up in January. They're kind of the UK version of Skin of Color Society here in the US. Some of them are members of the US version. I talked about eczema and skin of color and so many things over there. I've done so much writing lately, part because I'm on a sabbatical. And with that comes a lot of writing that I've been super happy to be able to do, including the upcoming Dermatology DMP Project Ideas book. So this month, I'm batch contenting. Usually what I do is I come on here every week. We have our main topic, like today we'll talk about business. And then I go through health and wellness, my own health and wellness, just as a way to hold myself accountable, but to inspire you, because I believe that if you're in the business of taking care of the people, then you have to be in the business of taking care of yourself. So we go over health and wellness. Since I'm batch content creating, I don't have any updates in terms of my health and wellness, but I do want to give updates about you all. So I mentioned that I had a chance to catch up with Allie after her semester ended. And I love to share my experience with Allie in that group in particular, because, that's a chance to really talk about how we can maximize nursing students. So when we look at our physician colleagues, they are, despite the rigor of their education and training, they still participate in publications. They still take on leadership positions. And they're still publishing, right? And they have mentors. But in nursing, we don't see that same thing. I've talked about over the last year, and I think a big part of that is because nursing students come in working. They work through nursing school at every level, and they're starting families, raising families, and then we see that in our physician colleagues, not the work part so much. And I think that might be one of the delineating factors. If you are listening and you have ideas to contribute, please let me know. But that's my thought. And so I still think it can be done in nursing. I still think you can have nursing students participate in these other opportunities that not only elevate our credibility in medicine, but show us our own value outside of patient care, which is what nursing school is patient care school. And so we tend to get burnt out or have a very limited mindset, scarcity mindset on really what our contributions are. You'll hear nurses say it all the time. It's just my job. You don't hear physicians saying that, right? And there's a reason for that, because they see the bigger picture. And so in nursing, I think it can be done. And so through Allie, I love to talk about that experience and share how you can maximize your students. And so I'll do a little bit of that today in terms of the update. These weekly videos, these nurse practitioner diary series, they're ongoing conversations. And so we talk about health and wellness. We talk about the main topic, social media. Like today, we'll talk about business, because that's my thing. And so we always do, I was going to say something else, but I don't remember, which is so funny. When you do these videos, you have all these thoughts in your head. I do recommend, if you're going to do videos, have a little bit of notes, like just an outline. When I first started, I had more than outlines. And, just build your confidence. In the beginning, people aren't really going to watch your content outside of the people you know. And it's a good time just to get over your own nerves and really create what it is you have in your head. And so by the time people do watch it, you'll be happy with what you're putting out there. And so we always start with health and wellness, and part of that is spirituality. And so we're going to do a little devotional. Oh, I love this one. Okay, this one's called Grow With Me. This is through the Holy Bible app. It's a free app. They have different plans. And what is this one? This is 21 prayers every Christian should pray. So we'll start off with the devotional, and then we'll get into our topic about things you should consider and steps you should take before starting your own business in 2025 as a nurse practitioner. Did you know that you can increase your level of faith? Some people think that their faith is fixed at a certain level, but the Bible speaks of people who have no faith, and some that have little faith, and some that have faith, and some that even have great faith. Now, faith is a gift from God, no doubt. And without his grace, none of us would have faith. But this is a case of, what are you going to do with what God has given you? In today's Bible reading, we learn that we can build up our faith. In other words, there are things we can do to increase and strengthen the faith that we have. And the scripture for today comes from Jude chapter 1, verses 20 through 21. But you, dear friends, must build each other up in your most holy faith. Pray in the power of the Holy Spirit and await the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ, who will bring you eternal life. In this way, you will keep yourself safe in God's love. Amen. Okay, so some of the articles that I dropped in the Ohio Dermatology blog most recently would be, let's see, for December, I do a lot of batching over there too. We talked about, so actually this conversation that we're going to have today kind of started on the blog. Good friend of mine, Dr. Farah Laurent, she's the host of the Nursing Dose with Farah podcast. She calls herself the Badass Career Coach. She is she's a nurse with her DNP, and she went through academia and leadership. And her background as a nurse was emergency medicine, I think 18 years. She's from Canada. She's planning her first conference based on the inspiration of Rachel Rogers, who is an attorney turned entrepreneur. And she's published quite a few books. She runs, she's the founder of ROI, which is a summit that happens every year. I don't know if it's just for women. I think it might be just for women. And I've done some of her coaching, actually. But she wrote a book, I think We Should All Be Millionaires. But the book is phenomenal. It's, I wasn't even planning on talking about resources in terms of books, but that one I would recommend, not only because she's really candid about what it takes to be an entrepreneur and how much she spends, all the help that she actually gets, which is a big recommendation that I have for you. But she talks about the money, right? Because I can say, oh, you should you should do this and you should do that. But when you hear how much it costs, it is called We Should All Be Millionaires. The audiobook version is available on Audible. And she has her own podcast, which you can find. I'll link in the description box. But anyway, after Far attended one of her recent, one of the things about business coaching, especially these online ones, Even let's say you pay $100 for 5 days of coaching. After that, they're going to sell you a big high ticket opportunity to work with them closely. But even outside of that, they continue to do like a lot of free content, invite you to webinars. And so all year long, I've still continued to get access to her in the community. And so anyway, she did recently, like in the beginning of December, she did one really promoting the conference, but also promoting the conference and talking about the benefits of doing in-person events. Farah heard that, and she was motivated to create her first conference, which will be on International Women's Day in March. And it's actually kind of coincides with the Dermatology Nurses Association's conference, the 8th, and she has a huge lineup of people. There's an aesthetic MP that's there. The keynote is a lady, Precious, who's going to be talking about. Actually, this is really good for you guys. I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but I think it's perfect for our topic about pitching. She's like the pitching queen. Let me pull up her flyer, and she's a top voice on LinkedIn. I've actually learned a lot about LinkedIn. The conference is called Nurses Making Money Moves. Her book, which is like a nod to her book, Farah's book, Nurses Making Money Moves, which is a nod to Rachel because one of the things she promotes is making money moves. I think that was the name of the coaching I participated in. And she says a lot of little things to kind of keep you motivated, a lot of things to keep you motivated and move out of analysis. But one of them is like, don't leave money on the table, right? Show up for yourself every single day. Every day somebody's finding you for the very first time. And she really helped motivate me to post every day and to not be afraid to just put yourself out there. So like I even increased the frequency of my emails, and you could be afraid, especially medical professionals, like, oh, they're going to block me. They're not going to listen, whatever. Hey, if they do that, they're not for you, right? The people who are for you are going to continue to follow. And even with Rachel, I could say, oh, look, it's so many emails, but you know what? I haven't deleted them because one, I get a chance to learn from her, right? Through those emails, at the style, what she's mentioning, the design of the email. Like there's a lot to be learned just by staying subscribed to her. So that's why I keep it. And then when I do have the time, I'll tap in and participate in something she's offering. Which she does the ROI Summit. Me and Farah want to go so bad. Last year it was in Puerto Rico. She even does like a writer's summit, which I absolutely want to attend. But she's just phenomenal. If you need motivation, inspiration, I highly recommend you listen to Rachel. She's going to get you there. But yeah, let me pull up and Farah, she shows up every day for herself. She's on LinkedIn all the time. And so yeah, Nurses Making Money Moves. So let me tell you this, people. Alice Benjamin, media expert and consultant. Actually, in December, she also, I feel like I have dog hair. She did a webinar herself on media. And actually, I think I still have the PowerPoint. So if you want to know, send me an email. I'll share it with you. But she talked about just like why it's important that we participate in media. And she offers media training herself. It was phenomenal, by the way, phenomenal. And she has done it herself. Dr. Kiana Jones, she's the med spa owner. She is the owner of the first Black med spa in her town. Dr. Rebecca White, she is the James Waiter Chair and Professor of Entrepreneurship. Teresa Sanderson, another entrepreneur, she's a consultant. If you're on social media, you've seen her before. Renee Lindo, a personal stylist, which as you notice, I got all dressed up for you. And, in the beginning, when I talk about social media, I talk about keeping it simple. And the more you have to do before you can show up on camera, the more barriers there are to you actually completing the task. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who are really into fashion and style, and they talk about how showing up, the quality and how you present yourself. And we hear that when we talk about interviews and stuff, right? There is something to be said about that. And so, yeah, here I am showing up for you in my red lip. And then Shanae Moret, she's a brand strategist. The keynote is Precious Williams. She's the CEO of Perfect Pitch Group. I really want to go to this conference. And the early bird ends at the end of the month. So right now, the price, so it's So Precious, 13-time national elevator pitch champion, 5-time #1 best-selling author, world-class speaker and trainer for global brands, featured on ABC's Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and Black Enterprise. The conference, like I said, is Saturday, March 8th, 2025, from 8 to 7. It's a one-day conference. The night before, there was a VIP dinner. You will be getting CEUs from this. It's in Tampa, Florida, at the Tampa Museum of Art. Dr. Farah, she just moved there from New York. I've had her on the Melanin podcast twice. One, to participate in our 7-3 questions series, which that's to give you insight into life, not just a career title, but actually day-to-day living. What are some thoughts people had going in, and what is their perspective now, retrospectively looking back? Because that's rich, valuable knowledge for you so you can make wise decisions. And shout out to NDMD, another anesthesiology resident who started that series on YouTube and who got his idea from Vogue, a series they did. And also Farah came on talking about sepsis. But she's phenomenal. We were internet friends turned real friends, and I would just love to support her. And so I'll put the information in the description box for you. But yeah, it's going to be beautiful. And yeah, she's live every day on LinkedIn talking about the conference and other things that can be of value to you. She's introduced me to some people who are wonderful, including a lady, I can't remember her name, but her company is called Lavender. It's the #1 telehealth mental health practice in the country. I do plan to reach out to her because, hey, she has knowledge and I will pay for that knowledge. So anyway, in one of the episodes she had recently with Rachel Dumas, who's also part of the Tamil Initiative family, they were talking about business. And so in that, I tend to be quite active in the comments, and I use all those comments and I combine them, put them in an article on the blog. So today I'm going to kind of be picking up from where I left off in the blog. Of course, I have the essential textbooks for dermatology, education, and skin of color on the blog. And let's see. So the article I'm referencing is called Starting Small, Dreaming Big, A Nurse's Guide to Entrepreneurship. I introduced you to the Skin of Color Training UK edition, Eczema and Skin of Color. It's a website. And unfortunately, Nikki Giovanni passed away. And I talked about what she can teach dermatology nurse practitioners. It's an ode to Nikki, but it's also a love letter to my journey with writing. So I invite you to check it out. And yeah, so let's see. Let's get into our topics for today. I'm just going to decrease this here. Okay, the lighting looks good today, guys. I'm always trying to share with you my little tips here. And as you can see, I haven't really done much decorating in terms of the setup here, but I have done it a little bit around the house. I really like the simplicity here, but I wouldn't mind having a plant back there. Actually, I'm the plant lady, so lots of plants. Okay, so the first thing if you want to do, and I need to write this down so I can put it in the, I'm not going to anymore. Anyway, you want to start a business. First thing you do is figure out your why, right? Who are you? Why are you here? What's your purpose? What's your mission? What's your philosophy for life? Because whatever decision you make moving forward, it needs to reflect that. And you can't really do that very well if you don't know what it is. If all your decisions to this point have been what other people think, society, your parents, your loved ones, then you don't have a clear voice, and you need to have clear voice, clarity when you start a business. And that might take a while to get, right? And it's not going to show up on your door. You have to be intentional about it. There are so many resources out here, so many people, so many projects you can be a part of to just start doing work, any kind of work, not patient care work, like meaningful work for other people, particularly when you start focusing on other people. Through my own journey, through other people, it seems like we get the most answers and satisfaction from that. I know you thought being a nurse, and for some people, it has been the case where they get the most of their inspiration from taking care of patients, right? So you're like, I've dedicated my life to other people. But the frame of mind that we have when we're caring for other people is not the same frame of mind as that you might find in other kind of work where you're doing it for the betterment of other people, for something bigger than yourself. There's books, there's coaches, there's organizations, there's faith communities that you can be involved in, and just find something that aligns with what matters to you. Once you figure that out and why you want to start this business, is it for money? Is it for freedom? Is it because you're burnt out? Those aren't going to last very long. But if it's to build generational wealth, if it's to have freedom, right? Some of those things can carry you through, right? If it's to be a voice for the voiceless, if it's to offer opportunities so that other people can do the same for their family, those are some kind of things that might drive your passion. And the thing is, there's no one passion that's better than somebody else's. You really have to separate yourself from, we can call it the noise, the distraction, where you only hear your voice, where you don't. I think what's most important is when you figure what that is, you don't need anyone else to confirm or validate it. Now, what you might get, what I think God is really good at, is sending you people, giving you encounters where you get confirmation and assurance, but it's not like you asking for it, right? Or needing it or relying on it before you move forward. I hope that makes sense. So figure out who you are and why you're doing this. One of the biggest things I think, as far as this goes, is think about it. God has given everyone one life to live, their life. No one has been given more power than anyone else. So they don't get to dictate your life. They have their life to dictate. And when I realized that, I was like, I can do anything I want. Whatever you see out here, it's all made up, right? So I can just make up my life too, make up my path. Market research. So now you have figured out who you are and what you want to do. Let's say it's aesthetics. You want to start your own med spa, right? Well, you're going to figure out how this aligns with your why. But then you want to figure out, okay, study the market. Who already has a med spa? How long have they been in business? How has that business grown over the course of time? How has that business owner grown in the course of time? Where are all the themes and all the med spas that are already in existence? Where can you identify some gaps? Because I promise you, I don't know if you watch Survivor. I love Survivor. It's my favorite show. And there's always like little groups and cliques, right? And they can rise pretty far, take themselves pretty far into the game. Before they start to disintegrate. And, a lot of times in the beginning, they'll be like, oh, we have to keep the strong players on. And everybody defines strong so differently. Some people look at the physicality as strength because they want to win competitions and they want to, get rewards like food and tarp. And so they look at that's when we're going to be able to do that first. But other people look at it, well, for me, in terms of strength, look, I'm a small person. In the end, I can't compete with them. So I don't need someone who's going to be big. I need someone who's going to be strategic, right? And so everyone defines strong differently, which goes back to this whole why. Your purpose is not for anyone else to define. And I think, honestly, if you took away everything, fear, doubt, what other people think, what you think, your past, that limited mindset, that scarcity mindset, you would identify it. I think many of us know what it is and we're just afraid. We're afraid of failure, afraid what other people will think. But I encourage you, I was just watching, like I said, I was watching Oprah. And one of the episodes she just did was on regrets. And that's what the guy talked about. And like he collected data and everything from around the world on regrets. And he found these themes. And one of them was just not trying. So, you can say, oh, I didn't ask that guy out. I wonder if I had asked him out, would we have XYZ? But they didn't care about the XYZ. They were just so focused on, I wish I would have just asked him out. I wish I would have just given it a try. And that's all I'm asking you to do, is give dreaming a try without fear. See what that does for you, even if all you do is dream about it. But just take away the fear. Fear of money, fear of time, fear of age, right? We don't talk about ageism enough, but people, even in their 20s, will be like, oh, it's so late for me. That's a conversation for another day. And that has to do with what we get these societal messages about our biological clock, about what's attractive and what's marketable and what's desirable. So as you know, I can go on and on about that. So in your market research, you're going to come in knowing your clear vision on what it is you're here to do. Maybe it's encourage other people. Okay, you've decided the med spa is one way you want to encourage people. Maybe you're going to focus on your helping people who've had cancer treatment or traumatic injuries, right? You have some bigger why on what you're doing. Maybe you're going to help people start their business, help single mothers start a business. Maybe you're going to offer education, something that that's bigger than you. It's going to help someone else achieve some bigger goal, right? Not just money and having nice things. Although those things are nice and they, matter to an extent, how are you going to help someone with their legacy, help them with their grief, their trauma, find that reclaim their joy, right? So when you go in the market and you look at other people who've been there, what are they saying is the problem, right? If you do the research, you will identify there's gaps everywhere. Just like in that strong team on Survivor, when they get to a certain point, you start to see cracks in that strong team that was voting together for so long. There's cracks in everything. There's gaps everywhere because not everyone can address the same problem. So like me, I've been out here in this derm world for a couple of years now, and I've identified themes. That's what we do in doctoral research. We identify themes, particularly in all the data, but especially in qualitative data, where people are maybe you're getting open-ended questions, answers, so people are giving you different responses. But when you put them all together, you start to identify themes, and that's actually what the guy did on the Oprah podcast on regrets. He identified themes throughout the different data points, and was able to identify different categories of regrets. So when you go do your market research on aesthetics, coaching, maybe fashion, maybe you're going to create devices. That was one of my concentrations when I was in the biomedical engineering program. Was a focus. I concentrated on devices. I really wanted to build something, which is what you can see today. Maybe you wanted to build devices or bring products to market, offer some kind of B2B service, right? That's my recommendation, is to focus on B2B, not just the customer. So business owners who still see patients are very busy. They don't have time to do anything. Like I said, this is your hobby. You love this hobby, but eventually you can't do the hobby anymore because you're so busy running your business. And so shout out to Jasmine Starr. She's another lady here on YouTube who makes videos for entrepreneurs. She participates in mastermind. She's a public speaker, all these things. She recently did a video on like how to hire a COO or chief operating officer, someone who's in charge of operations, right? Because all the time I spend creating the caption and thumbnails and emails and all those things someone else could be doing, and I can stay spending my time on this thing that I absolutely love, right? Because managing people and putting together handbooks and policies, it's not the thing I love, right? But that management is important for the business to grow. And so a lot of nurses and nurse practitioners who start their own business, they want to do all the things, but you can't do all the things and grow. So you need someone who can come in and take over your business. So for 2025, that's something I'm looking to do myself, is to get a COO on board so I can spend more time doing the things I love and less time managing the business. And you can also think, I was talking to a good friend of mine who's an entrepreneur, new friend of mine, and she was like, she wants to learn all the things, right? And I got that because I was there too. But then I started thinking, like, there's always going to be something new to learn. Even now, I've had my assistant 8 months, and already there's things I don't want to take the time to learn. I trust her expertise. Bring me 3 options. I'll pick from the 3 options, and then we'll go with whatever makes your job easier. Think about Jeff Bezos. If someone calls out of work, do you think he's like, oh, well, I can't go golf today. I need to go pack boxes. He's not doing that. And you can say, oh, well, he's Jeff Bezos. Well, he's always been Jeff Bezos, right? And that's the kind of mindset you need to have, is like, you're not always going to know all the pieces. And I think you can really appreciate that if you've been in practice for a significant amount of time, right? So I've been in practice over 10 years, and the amount of expertise and knowledge and your perspective that you have at 10 years versus 1 year is just drastically different. And there's no way I can accumulate that level of knowledge in real estate, in business, in finance. Or do I want to take the time, the another 10 years to do that for each of those things? So I started to appreciate the value in hiring professionals who already obtain that expertise. That's what we tell our patients, talk to a professional, right? We need to take that advice for ourselves when we get into business, because we can fast track things much faster than trying to do everything from scratch. So you do your market research, identify where the crack is. I've talked about it before, is the pain points. If you give people enough time to talk, and you can do that, maybe they have platforms where they're talking. Maybe you invite them on your platform, invite them to tea, hop on a call, be real. This is where the pitch comes in. What is it you want out of this time? How much time is it going to take? How are you going to utilize that time? What's in it for me? So make sure you can identify that too in the pitch, and just give them a chance to talk. And you will identify where their pain points are. I can list 100 pain points, and you can just be an expert in one of those pain points, and you'll be able to do that for everyone in the market. So don't overlook that, okay? Don't overlook that you can do other businesses besides patient care. And yes, you might not be an expert in that thing today, but every day you work on it, you become an expert. Show up for yourself every day. Don't leave money on the table. Develop a business plan. There's some people who are indifferent about it. And I think it's a good thing because it helps you lay out your vision for the company. It certainly will help you if you want to seek capital through grants, venture capital, just so other people can see what your vision is. The Small Business Association has a wealth of resources I need to use myself. And they can help you create the templates on there. There's all kind of different business plans. But our good friend ChatGPT can also get you started. And then you start feeding it what information you want it to include. And that, my friends, will help you start to verbalize what it is you want. It will help you even reveal what it is you're trying to do, not only for yourself and give you clear vision, but the people on your team, because it's your job to sell that vision every day. My biggest lesson in the last 2 months is it's my job to sell the vision every day. There's managers, there's leaders, and I talk about that in the article. And yes, there are times and there are roles that we take on that make us lean more towards one or the other. But I promise you, even those people who are in management roles, who are, leaders at heart, they stand out, right? They stand out for a reason. They're a little bit different than the others, right? And there's some people who excel at management. I mean, super, like the attention, the detail, the proficiency, the systems thinking. You need those people. We need everybody. That's what I'm always trying to emphasize in the village. There's different roles, and we need those roles for a reason. What role do you want to play? What role have your experiences shaped you for? So I'm a visionary. I'm more of a leader. I can do the management day to day. I'm doing it, but some people thrive in that. But I'm okay. I'm not married to that. I can let it go easily if someone else wants to take that role. And there's some people who love it. You can hear them talk. They'll tell you all the time how much they love doing all the things. But that's just it's not the cards I've been given. And so it's good to know where you stand so that you know how to build your team. And typically, and you know what? You could be a business owner who has more of a management style than a leadership style. So then you need someone who can kind of take on that role. Not everybody's interested in selling the vision. And so you might need like a cheerleader, right? So that might be the person you hire. That might be the first person you hire, outside of just like an assistant. Whereas for me, I'm looking to hire that, chief operating officer who's going to fit more of that managerial role. So that I can maintain the visionary leaders, right? And stay energetic. Like doing those things, they energize some people, and then doing the other part energizes the rest of us. And so it's kind of about knowing where you stand. So I think the business plan is a good idea because, as the Bible says, write it down and make it plain. It just helps with communication. And even like which we'll get into in a little bit about getting help. Actually, we could do that right now. When it comes to getting help, you can say, okay, look, I need help. And so I hired an assistant. We had our first meeting, and I was like, how does this normally go? Compared to, that was in May, compared to like 2 weeks ago, where I have agendas and they're timed, right? We know we're not going to be on that call forever and talk about everything that we need to discuss in that time frame. My body language, my response, everything about that meeting was so different than the first one. Like I knew exactly what kind of help I need. So when you first start out, you think, oh, I need help. And you don't have to call it a business plan, but you need to have something written down that other people can follow and even like duplicate what you're doing, both you and anyone on your team, right? Because everyone's replaceable. People will drop uh, at the drop of a dime. And so you need to have somebody come in quickly, get onboarded quickly, and follow off where they left. And so the advice I'm giving today, you're not going to start there, but you'll build it over time. And don't think you need to build all those things before you start. I think that's the number one mistake people make is, and I realize that too, like it's better to just get out there. And once you get out there and you start encountering things, you create things to support it. Once you have people call out sick, okay, now I'll create a sick policy. Once you have more people come on your team, okay, now I need to have policies in place. I need to have employee handbook guidance for how you're going to represent the company. But I didn't know that in the beginning. So the first meeting, I don't know. I just want you to do social media for me, right? But what does that mean? How many reels a day? How many posts a day? What's the caption? What's the tone? Do you have colors? Do you have font that you like? What platforms do you want to use? Like the simplest thing. Then it really makes you think, yeah, and be intentional and have a strategy. Like, yeah, why do I want to post every day? Do I want to post in the morning or in the afternoon? Should I start on all the platforms or pick the one I know the most? So write it down, decide what you want. For me, I like Monday through Friday, 2 reels a day. And I like promoting things before they come out. So if we have an episode coming out, I have a video coming out, I want to do a post on it. The best platform I like for graphic design is Canva, especially for beginners. But even Canva continues to evolve because that is someone's business, and they're always in competition with someone else, like Adobe, right? And so they're still perfecting even that. They have influencers out here that make videos for them. They make videos. They have conferences, webinars. So even they take feedback. They're always even growing themselves. There was one point in time I thought, okay, well, I'll give up Canva and learn something else. But then it dawned on me, like I've perfected Canva. I spent, over the last year. At that time, when I had this conversation with myself, it had been over a year that I was working on it. It's like, why would I abandon it now? I just got to a certain level of competence. Now is the time to really capitalize on that, because at the end of the day, you can look at a graphic, you can't really tell where it was made if you know what you're doing. Now, of course, you can get big. I mean, it can get really fancy. But for the needs of what we're doing, Canva works great. You can do it because it's free, or you can pay and get a few extra features. But in the beginning, try to do as many free things as possible. You can invite team members, and yeah, they really have thought of everything that you would need as a business owner in terms of branding and all the types of content you'd want to create. You can do all of it there. So that's my recommendation. And so the best thing, if you're going to post on multiple platforms, particularly Instagram prefers, everybody likes videos. And long form videos are starting to be more popular than short form, especially on YouTube. And the algorithm on YouTube is a little bit more friendly than the algorithm on like Instagram. And LinkedIn is even better than that, because you're going to get the algorithm that you create based on who you follow and what you like. Not just, so anyone I follow, I see if they post, like, comment, even if they did it 3 days ago. Whereas on Instagram, I haven't been on Instagram all month, so I don't know. I'm never going to see that content unless I go literally to their page. So that's kind of like why I like LinkedIn, because particularly in our field, people are not on social media every day. And so I don't have to really bombard their timeline, because they're going to see it. They're going to see it eventually. And if you comment on your own stuff, it continues to show up in people's feed on that one post. Whereas in Instagram, you have to like keep reposting in order to really get any views. And even still, there's some people who I follow. Once you start following, over 100 people, there's people you just never see, because it really feeds into you seeing the same thing over and over. So on Instagram, they don't like flyers. So videos are top of line, but there are cases where you might want to have like a static image. You want to do that in the square, because in the flyer profile type view, it doesn't come off very well. Whereas every platform is friendly to, and it will still look great if you use the square. And so if you go over to Canva, you'll see the option for like post or square. I create everything that way and post it to all the platforms to make it easier. And then I schedule things in advance. I pick the day and time when I want to do something. And then you start off, you have no clue. But, mahogany dermatology starts with an M. Monday's the beginning of the week. And so I just started doing a new blog every Monday. And I started calling it Mahogany Dermatology Blog Monday. At the podcast, we used to do TMI Tuesdays. But I moved the show to Sundays. So actually, everything I do is on Sunday. There wasn't any. Some of it was just out of. I think people are home more. They're able to sit down and watch something like that. People watch stuff every day, but Sunday's a really great day. People put out a lot of content, and I just think it's a great day to put out a video. And then when I step back and think about, for me in general, people who follow me on different platforms, it's just like, well, I know I can catch up with her on Sunday. I don't want to, there's really no confusion. Oh, I think on her channel, she comes out on Wednesday, and then on the show, it's on Sunday. People who really follow you, who support you, they would eventually get it. But it's something to think about. What's the easiest way for people to keep up with you? So that's always going to be your name. In the beginning, that might be something you'd overlook, but your name is really important. Jay-Z said, say your name as much as possible, because people aren't going to remember until, after some time. So always use your name. So let's talk about that startup. You have who you are, what you're going to do, how you're going to bring something different to the market, which every time you kind of connect with other people, they're going to want to know, how are you bringing something different to the market? I'm going to be able to tell you exactly the gaps that I'm going to be addressing in the market. And that's so easy. I don't have to make things up, right? It's not something I have to dig for. It's blatantly obvious, at least at this point, now that I've been doing this for a while. Automate your life, your personal life. The more you can get your personal life in order before you do this business thing, the less stressful it will be. That's automating things, having a calendar, whether it's digital. My preference is digital because it's everywhere you go. What if I leave the house and forget my notebook or my planner? I'm never going to forget my phone, right? And even if I forget my phone or lose it, it exists on the cloud. So when I get a new device, when I go on and log in a different device, I'll still have all the information. It will automatically send updates. I can automatically attach team members. From the very beginning, you want to build things where you're comfortable giving access to other people. That time will come. Remember, if you're persistent and consistent, your business will grow and you will need help. And you'll need team members who need access to your accounts. So from the beginning, create emails, accounts with names and passwords that you're comfortable sharing. That's a huge tip. And then communication. How are you going to communicate with people? So again, you need a number you're comfortable sharing. I have a separate number. I have separate email. These are my public ones, right? So email, social media pages. If you have social media pages with you sitting on a beach and it has nothing to do with what you're selling, that should be on your personal page, and maybe you make it private. It's up to you. Because once you're a public figure, everyone can find you. Patients, employers, business partners, people who want to give you money, right? So think about that. My recommendation is has personal page, make it private, and then have your public page. And on the public page, you should post at least once a month, every 30 days. So when someone searches you, they'll see you're still alive, that this is still a place to contact you at the minimum. But at the most, I think you should show up every day for yourself. Yeah, that's my recommendation. In the beginning, sorry. In the beginning, you'll always hear people say how they used to do something all the time for free. Every day, once a week, every day or once a week, they used to go live and do something for free. And they did that for a year or two before, and then they'll talk about what happened, and so there's something to be said about doing that. Not only because I think one of the main things is certainly it helps to get you more exposure and visibility, but for you and your skill and your confidence, when you do that every day, that consistency, it really makes a difference. And just like what you're learning, the pace at what you're learning, the pace at which you can execute, I really can't stress that enough. In my own experience, I feel like that showing up that consistency, whatever it's going to be, it makes a difference. Storage. Content takes up a lot of storage. Pictures, videos, you name it. You're going to need external hard drive. And then use it. Make sure you use it. So I keep mine right here. I have a couple of them. You don't need more. You don't need like a lot. I just happen to have more than one. but automatically when I record podcast interviews, automatically download. That's just like a habit now. And then as far as just like backing up my own content, I just do it at least once a month. Whatever platform you're going to store the things, Canva included, don't trust it. I have had problems with every single platform. LinkedIn at the most. But yeah, and StreamYard lost one of our files. So just don't trust those platforms. They can go down at any moment. Even yesterday, I had trouble getting on my blog. And I thought, oh. Now I have lost things on the blog before. So now even I have a backup for that. And so, yeah, have storage. And you might have to buy storage because even the cloud, they only give you so much. And then eventually you have to upgrade or take all that off and then, start from scratch. At some point, storage is going to be an issue. You're going to have to pay for it one way or another through an external drive or by buying more cloud storage. Social media tools, you can start real simple with the ones you're already on or free. Even Instagram and Facebook, they're linked. So that's an easy one. They have a planner that you can use. You have to have like a business page for that, access to that. But it's free. You can automatically link. So you go to one platform and post, it will automatically post on the other one. That's probably the easiest way to start. But eventually, if you want to be on all the platforms, and if you're going to take the time to make content, you want everybody to know about it. You're going to need a social media management tool. They all cost money. Just find one that works for you. And that is going to be able to grow with you more or less. That also goes with customer relations management. How you get your customers when people click and sign up. Is their email automatically stored? How can you email a group of people at once? Those kind of tools are going to be super helpful. You don't have to start that way, but that's something you're going to want to consider. How are you going to keep track of all these contacts? If you tell people to comment, follow, like, subscribe, how can you get their contact too? You don't want this to be a one-way street. You need to be able to reach them and tell them about what it is that you're offering. AI. So in addition to automating your bills, your investments, reminders on your calendar, meetings, birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions, things like that. Do it right away. Don't trust your memory because there are going to be a lot of things to remember. Just write it down right away. Get in that habit. But use AI, let it help you get started. And because sometimes that getting started is the slowest step. Again, take advantage of free resources, even if it's just to learn, because eventually when you move on to something that's paid, the platforms are pretty much similar. And so your learning curve will be much shorter. And just always find ways to save money. One thing I've been thinking about lately, I haven't really sifted out the whole how it would look, but wouldn't it be nice if all of us in this is a business idea, if all of us in entrepreneurship, if we had this like how people pool their resources, what if we pooled our resources for like a social media management team, right? How does that look? I'm not sure exactly yet. And I want to grow my team, but I want to grow a team where we can all kind of benefit from that and utilize our resources wisely. So if you have any ideas or thoughts, message me directly and we can chat about them. And education is so important. I think I mentioned earlier in this blog about so let's talk about some of the things I now appreciate. So continuing education, it's so important because they need to keep learning, right? I'm busy loving on this thing, right? Or managing the business, running the business. I need you to stay up to date on marketing, on social media, digital tools, all the things, because I'm over here managing, figuring this thing out. And if they're a clinician, they need to stay up to date on whatever is required to maintain their licensure and certification. So I have a greater appreciation for that, right? Because especially once you enter this space, you're going to get bombarded with emails from other people who want to help you grow your business. And when they show you cool things, you're like, hey, can we do that? Right? I don't have time to figure it out, but I need you to stay abreast. And so when I get emails from the platforms that we use, that they're having webinars and things like that, I asked of my assistant, can she sit in on that? And when I have time, I listen to it too, so I can learn too. So continuing education is super. I think it's mandatory if you want your business to grow. Speaking of education, I now recognize that when it comes to partnership, not everybody's a good partner, right? And you hear this all the time, but it's so true. And I think the best partners, as well as employees, to be honest, I think if you own a dermatology practice and you want to hire some providers, they should have business acumen, because the more people on your team understand the goal of business, the better you're going to be able to execute on your goals. If you think we're just putting up pictures because they look pretty, but you don't know how to leverage that post with other people in your network continue to promote other things you've already done and maximize on that, because we're not in the business of putting up pretty pictures. We're in the business of marketing. We're in the business of networking, in the business of selling goods and services that make money. So when they don't understand that, it can hurt your growth. And then you spend so much time trying to redirect their time and energy. And so I've learned this year how important it is for them to have that understanding um, of the overall goal. Everything we're doing, every time we show up, it's for the business. And so we can't afford to not have attention to detail, not have a checklist where we double check everything, triple check it before we submit it and send it out. Because, especially if you're in the business of medicine and nursing, it's just like our practice. It has to be accurate, it has to be credible. And that includes everything we put out here on the internet. The other thing in terms of partnership, you don't want to be convinced. Someone's banging out there. You don't want to have to convince someone why you're doing something. And so it helps if they have some experience doing it. If they, I think that's it. They just need to have experience doing it. That's really important. It doesn't have to be 10 years of experience, but just some experience of, this is kind of back to that whole idea of having skin in the game. So whether they've given money or their time to a particular thing, right? It's very helpful. It can give you a glimpse into how they're going to do that for you. Even when you talk about relationships, right? And you talk about, transitioning from dating to marriage. If you don't see them doing it while you're dating, you can't assume it's going to happen just because you're married. You need to see it in action already. These same principles apply everywhere. I think those are kind of the biggest takeaways in terms of partnership that I learned this year. And I talk about the other ones. And then a support network. So if you really stand back, everyone who's successful, they're friends, right? Even in politics, when you talk about going across the aisle, everybody's a friend. We keep each other in business. So when I was talking to my intern, she was just like, well, what's in it for you? And, I gave her my reasons, right? Like, everybody has an ulterior motive. Ulterior can be alternative. It doesn't mean it's malicious, but everyone has a reason why they're doing something. And so when you win, I win. So like my friend Farah, I promote her stuff. She promotes my stuff. If I build a social media management team, she benefits from that too, right? If she pours into that, now I can get a bigger team. We all win. If you start a med spa, in order for your med spa to stay in business, you need staff. I come up with a staffing agency. Now I supply your business needs me. We keep each other in business. Everyone you see out here is doing that for their friend. Even today, when I was watching that podcast, they were talking about the New York Times bestseller list. Even that is an algorithm that somebody made up, and it benefits their friends. You think you can make a great book and that all the people on that staff, they're just people, are going to see your book just because you wrote it? Someone has to make them aware that book exists. Now, if all their friends send in their books, then all their friends are more likely to get put on that list. It doesn't mean you don't have a good book. It means you don't have a good network. So you need to be in the network. I can't stress enough that you can't do this by yourself. Not only build the business, but grow. Excuse me. We talk so much about going to school, getting a good education, getting a good job, because we assume it's going to give you a good life. But all of that doesn't happen if you're not part of a network. All those good schools that we talk about, even the good jobs, people are promoting them, so they continue to be held to a high esteem. Um, so just think about that. You have to be part of a network. And it could be any network, to be honest, but you just need to be part of one that understands the value of keeping each other in the network. And then prioritize self care. You're not going to survive if you don't survive, right? And I think one of the biggest things, besides health and wellness, which we talk about, is managing your time, budgeting your time. Everything from social media. Maybe you say, look, I want to look on social media. Let me set my timer for 20 minutes and then get off of it, right? Because if you go on there to post, inevitably you're going to see something. So just set yourself up for success. Say, look, or maybe you only post on Mondays. You schedule everything. Monday's the only day I look on there. It's okay. I post, I'm done, right? The biggest thing for me, though, when it comes to this prioritizing your self-care is just like time for your family. I think I've shared before, someone said you can have three things. You can have your business, your friends, or there's three things: business, friends, or family, but you can only have two of the three at any time. And it's so true. I'm still working on that. It's a really, probably the biggest challenge for me. And so, yeah, I'm still working on that one. And I think part of that carries over when you are in school and you're doing a million things. You stay on this pace, this momentum. Oprah talked about it today. When she stopped doing the show, she regrets that she didn't take a break. So often people are graduating. This will be our closing thoughts for today, by the way, folks. So often when we're graduating, we'll say, "What's next?" Right? Or you get married. What's next? When you have kids, or when are you gonna buy the house? When are you gonna, what's next? What's next? What's next? And we don't give even myself, don't give ourselves enough time to take a break mentally, physically, right? Even relationship hopping, to just reset. And you can't reset if you're still on the go. And I think for those of us who do go through school, clinical practice, clinical training, even being a traveler on the road, that go, 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 you get used to pumping the gas. And sometimes you need help learning how to pump the brakes, right? And so, yeah, make time for balance. And whatever that means, the conversation's always going on, like work-life balance, work-life integration, lots of conversations on how to actually describe that. But I think it's a work in progress for most of us. So I want to thank you so much for watching. The links are in the description box to join the community for the blog, the DMV Dermatology MPPA group, Derm P's and PAs of Atlanta, how to register for the Diversity in Dermatology Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, March 27th through the 30th. I'll be there. Soon someone asked about conferences. Soon I'll come. I'm going to post a bunch of conferences on the website, on the blog, and then I'll come and talk to you about it. But right now I know I'll be at Diversity in Dermatology. I really want to go to Farah's conference. It's a big turnaround from the Diversity in Dermatology, because I think they're just 2 weeks apart. But it's a one day, and I would like to go to the dinner, so it would be overnight stay. So we'll see, friends. I really, 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 really want to be there. So those are Diversity in Dermatology is definite. FAR is a possible. SDMP is possible, but I'm going to Utah with Elevate Derm in July, and Learn Skin in August, in Tucson. If you have something in Arizona, you can pretty much guarantee I'm going to be there. And then DMPs of Color in Oakland in October. So that's my calendar so far for the year. Keep you posted if anything changes. And yeah, I'll see you next week. New videos drop on Sundays at 12:15 a.m. Please share with your friends, even if you're not into derm, but your children, your students, your mentees, your peers, please send them my way, not only for the resources, but I just want to learn how I can support them. And yeah, I just thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.